identified two, I guess, of the legs on the stool.
Right.
Meaning. How should we think about meaning?
Meaning's the hard one. Meaning's the hard one. I mean, look, enjoyment's no joke, and satisfaction takes work, but meaning eludes some people their entire lives because they don't know what they're looking for. They're fumbling around for something. They don't know exactly what it is. And a lot of people, they deeply suspect that it doesn't exist, that it doesn't actually exist. And you look at a lot of 20th century and 19th century philosophers, and they say it doesn't exist. I mean, there's sort of three schools of thought about meaning. There's the ancient Greeks and Romans and the Christians and the Jews and the Muslims. And it's all kind of based on meaning in the following way. Essence precedes existence. Meaning, you have meaning in life that precedes your actual life, and your job is to find it and live up to it. But it's already out there. You just need to go looking for it, right? In the 19th and 20th centuries, that was relaxed with two major schools of philosophical thought, nihilism and existentialism. Existentialism, Sartre and even to a certain extent, Kierkegaard would say that existence precedes essence. In other words, you're born and there is no meaning until you create it.
Tabula rasa. Good luck, kid.
Yeah, good luck. Go make it. And if it's no good, it's on you, man. And by the way, Sartre, he has a very empowering, a very muscular philosophy because he says, you have to live up to the responsibility of creating your essence and living according to it. Mm-hmm. It's sort of Freudian in its way. And then, of course, there's Nietzsche, our old pal Friedrich. A lot of young men love Nietzsche because, by the way, it's unbelievably beautiful prose. A gorgeous writer, including in English. You don't have to go learn German to read it. But, The Gay Science, which is one of his most famous texts where he said, God is dead and we killed him. Mm-hmm. It's just, it lands, right? But his whole point is existence is real, but essence is a figment of your imagination. So don't even try to find it. That's nihilism, right? We're struggling with these schools of thought. And we all suspect, it doesn't matter how religious you are, it doesn't matter what your wiring actually happens to be. You kind of wonder if maybe Nietzsche and Sartre were right. Mm-hmm. So you go in search of it. And it turns out, I want to go find the meaning of life is too big a question. You'll never find it by, sitting at the mouth of the guru's cave or with the ayahuasca shaman saying, I just want to find meaning in life. You need to boil it down to really sub-questions, which are all about coherence. Why do things happen the way they do? I need to believe something about why things happen the way they do. It doesn't have to be religious. Mm-hmm. It can be completely secular. It might even be nihilistic. You need a purpose. You need to answer a purpose question, which is, what's the purpose of my life and what direction am I going? What's the goal of my life? What's the end point of my life? And the last is significance, which is, why does it matter that I'm alive? Now, I have a test to see if somebody has a meaning crisis in their life. It's really just two questions. And to pass the test, you need incredibly true, honest, and compelling answers. There's no right answers. There's only wrong answers or no answers. So you want to take the test?
Sure, why not?
It's go time. Question number one. This is
punish me for all the ayahuasca I've done. Go for it.
I didn't say there's something wrong with it. I just think this. It's what do we say? It's necessary but not sufficient.
Where's my cat and nine tails? Like an Opus Dei myself. I left it back at the hotel.
Yeah.
Damn.
Why are you alive? Do you have an answer to the question of why you're alive?
I have a very clinical answer for it.
Tell me. Well, there's the physical answer, but metaphysically, why are you alive? Which can be one of two things. Either who created you or what you're put on earth to do. You can answer that in one of two ways. Do you have a strong belief in why you're alive?
I have a strong driver for taking advantage of the fact that I am alive, but I don't have a story of a creator or something along those lines. I don't.
Or a strong purpose. It can be a creator or a purpose.
I do feel like I have a strong purpose, but it doesn't relate to my birth.
That's okay. So, the why of your life. Our mutual friend Simon Sinek talks about this. Start with why. And the why of your life can be because of a creation. Or it can be because I exist to, lift other people up and bring them together in bonds of happiness and love, which, by the way, is the why of my life. So that's number one. And if it's there, but it's inchoate, It's not quite clear enough.
Mm-hmm.
Find out the answer to that and write it down, and then perfect it over a 6-month period.
Yeah, I would say that for me, I mean, it's looking at and experiencing things in unorthodox ways so that I can teach.
And why do you want to teach?
Mostly to alleviate suffering, I would say.
In other words, you want to lighten the load for other people.
Yeah.
And so in other words, you want to serve your sisters and brothers. Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay. That's a great why. Mm-hmm. That's a great why. That's a great answer to the first question, why are you alive?
Yeah, I don't feel conflicted about that.
Okay. So the second one's harder. For what would you be willing to die today?
I don't have a ready answer.
It's a hard one. It's a hard one.
What's your
A lot
answer?
of people don't. For my faith, for my family, for my country, and for you. I am willing to die for others.
Mm-hmm.
That's the answer. I mean, I probably won't be called to it, but I'm willing to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to do it. I've come to the conclusion that I'm actually willing to do it. And here's how I learned this from my son. I learned this actually from my son. I mean, I have theoretical answers that are politically correct in the Catholic sphere. I would die for the Catholic Church. I would die for my faith. These things are true, by the way. I really would. But it's too pat. Here's how I learned this from my son. My son was, I have 3 kids, 25, 23, and 20. And my middle son, his name's Carlos. And Carlos is, he's a kinetic boy. He's a fan of yours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's probably watching us right now going, Dad's going to talk about me right now. Sorry,
Carlos.
Sorry, Carlos. And, you know, Carlos was having a good old time in high school, you know, like substantial grade problems and academic issues. And, you know, my wife's like, at least we know he's not cheating. And, yeah. But the problem was he wasn't really having fun, you know, and I think it was a meaning problem. And in search of the answers to the questions after high school, he really became an entrepreneur with his life. And, you know, I asked my kids to do a business plan when they're in high school because they're entrepreneurs and I'm VC. Mm-hmm. I'm an investor. I deserve a business plan. And when they weren't original, I'd send them back for revisions.
Bank of Dad.
Yeah. And it's really fun to be my son, you can imagine. So Carlos's business plan for his life, by the time it went through several rounds of revisions, was appropriately unorthodox. Mm-hmm. He was going to go work on a farm by himself and find the answers to the questions. Work hard. And so he actually got a job on a wheat farm in Idaho, a real job, not some sort of, you know, hobby farm. No. It was an 8,000 acre working wheat farm. He lived in the farmer's basement for the first year. He picked rocks out of the soil. He started at the bottom, made minimum wage, fixed fences, cut down dead trees, ran a combine by himself 16 hours a day.
Why did he choose this? How would he explain it?
Because he needed to see what he could do. He needed to find out what it meant to be Carlos Brooks, away from his family, away from everybody. Why? Because he was looking for the answers to the questions. Mm-hmm. They were inchoate. They were like, why am I alive? I don't know. Maybe I'll find it in the cab of a combine. Maybe I'll find it when I dig rocks out of the soil. Maybe I'll find it by doing something hard with my hands. Then he joined the military. He was 19 years old. He joined the Marine Corps. And boot camp is no walk in the park for the U.S. Marine Corps, as we've all heard. But then it got harder from there. He did infantry training battalion and then the in-doc for the Scout Sniper Platoon, which is a branch of the Special Forces and the Marines. Today, he's Corporal Carlos Brooks, Marines 3-5 Scout Sniper Platoon. And he's got answers. Now, that's a scary job for me and his mom. He goes on field trips, right?
Field trips.
And thank God nothing's happened to him. He's getting out of the military in December of this year. But he's got answers.
What types of answers? I mean, I don't want you to...
Here's his answers.
Yeah.
I'll tell you his answers. Carlos, why are you alive? Because God made me. For what are you willing to die? For my faith and for my family and for my friends and for the United States of America. Boom. Mm-hmm. These are not the answers that a lot of people watching us would give, but these are super solid answers. I'm super proud of my son because he earned the answers to his meaning questions. Mm-hmm. That everybody watching us has got to earn it. Everybody who's watching us has got to go on a quest, a vision quest for the answers to the meaning questions. There's no other way to do it. Your dad can't tell you. Your priest can't tell you. The holy books can give you inklings. They can give you shadows on the cave wall, to get back to the old Platonic metaphor. You need to live and to try things, to go through a process of discernment. And the way to do that is to do hard things. is to challenge yourself and to say to yourself, I will not stop until I have answers to these questions to my own satisfaction.
So hearing you describe Carlos's experience, hi, Carlos, and congratulations on the trajectory.
He's like, yeah, my dad embarrassed me, but Tim Ferriss just said hi to me on his podcast, so it's all good.
It is not easy. I have some friends who are formerly Marine Force Recon.
Yeah.
That is not.
The recon guys
are not an easy path.
No, it isn't.
None of that is easy.
Yeah.
I think I was over processing for what would you be willing to die tomorrow. I think it was the tomorrow piece that I fixated on. So family.
Right.
Close
you
friends.
would die for your family. You just would.
Yeah, family and close friends. I can give that answer.
Yeah, right.
I was thinking of it more hypothetically as for what happening in the world would you be willing to basically off yourself tomorrow?
Is there an idea for which you'd be willing to die? Is there a truth? Because this is really where it gets super intense.
Yeah, that's where it gets intense.
Yeah, when Carlos says, I am willing to die for my faith, I am willing to die for the United States of America, which for him is an ideal of liberty.
Mm-hmm.
He's, by the way, for those of you outside the United States, he's willing to die for our allies too.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah.
Dying for an idea, that's super heavy. I mean, that's like pure grade meaning. Because people are going to say, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Are you nuts? This is not, I'm willing to kill for an idea. That's like, that's kindergarten stuff. That's kindergarten stuff. No, I'm willing to die for something. I'm willing to give my own life. I'm willing to take yours. Yeah, you and every other, half-baked, dark triad, malignant narcissist, cancel culture, trait, psychopath.
Wait, I thought you were talking to me for a second.
No,
I was like, how did we get here all of a sudden?
No. So I was like, Arthur Brooks got really abusive on my pocket. No, Tim, I love you. I will reiterate that you're a beautiful man. but I mean, come on. I mean, it's everybody around the world is willing to, kill for, what they think or cancel or hurt people for what they think. But the real question is, are you willing to sacrifice what you have for an idea? And that's really hard.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a tough one for me to answer. I think also thinking about what you're willing to die for, let me personalize it. Thinking about what I'm willing to die for, I also want to be very aware if there are things I would be willing to die for that could be manipulated to make me do things that I might not currently be morally aligned with.
Totally.
Right? So
for sure.
I think the allegiance,
I get it.
It needs to be or for me, I want to be aware if there are things like, for instance, faith has been manipulated by politicians.
So has patriotism.
Of course.
My goodness.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people listening say, you die for the United States of America? Are you crazy?
Which is not to say that it's wrong. It's just very context dependent.
Very context dependent. And it requires a lot of updating and serious thought. And it's not good enough to just be sort of raw and taking it at face value. It takes serious discernment.
So we have why were you born? Or for what?
Why are you alive?
Are you alive? Yeah. What would you be willing to die for?
Yeah.
Got any more?
Those are the ones. I mean, what those do is that they really kind of wrap up coherence, purpose, and significance into two kind of handy-dandy questions. And the point is really this. I mean, it's easy for me to frame that up as, once you find those, you're all good to go. All right. But the truth is you're going to go through the rest of your life contemplating these things. And these are the questions to ask on your birthday. Are these still the things that I believe? Have I updated my knowledge? Do I have a better sense of who I am? Have I gone backwards a little bit? Have I lost this sense of what I'm willing to die for? Do I need to go a little deeper at this point? And touching up on those questions turns out to be a really good. It's sort of the same thing when you go to the doctor and they do the same tests again and again and again and again. Mm-hmm. I have a series of tests that I do for these questions that I ask myself like that. Mm-hmm. About the reverse bucket list and the meaning questions, and am I pursuing my pleasures socially and making memory with my prefrontal cortex. I also have, by the way, a spreadsheet of 19 micronutrients that feed into my macronutrients, and I grade myself on tenths of 1% on a 1 to 10 scale, weighted with respect to what my best estimate of my well-being. Mm-hmm. And when I'm going backwards on those things, I set a strategic plan for my year. So I know I'm getting crazier by the minute, right?
I'm into it. I encourage it. I want to pour gasoline on the fire.